Hi everyone. I've printed up a few models recently that I'm not going to have any use for, so I'm going to give them to a friend of mine, and I thought you might like to see them before I give them away. What they are in the main are 15mm Napoleonic period wagons and so on. They're the only ones I'm going to give to my friend. The other ones I'm going to show you I'm going to retain because I have got a use for them. But he's got some 15mm Napoleonic armies which I haven't got, so I thought he might like these. Yeah, but if you remember on my last video on the subject of 3D printing, I mentioned that I was having a lot of failed prints and so on, and it was getting very frustrating. And I was getting through a lot of resin, and it wasn't finding a way through, which I've now done, and I'm going to put up a video in the not too distant future on that subject of the solutions that I've found, because I think they might be useful to other people who are fresh to the subject of 3D printing like I am. But during that period I was printing up a few things, as I say, just to see if they came out successfully, really, such as this wagon, which is a Napoleonic period munitions wagon. I'm quite pleased with it, really, and the file that I got it from was I purchased again from Nazhevitz Modelbau, their first collection of Napoleonic prints. My main enthusiasm for that set of files was that there were quite a lot of buildings in it that I wanted to print up in 28mm to use in the future for when I start wargaming 18th century kind of period war games such as the 7 Years' War and so on. So that's a long way in the future. But having got the files now, I'm just so tempted to print up some of their buildings and basically get into 15mm Napoleonics. I have got quite a lot of old 28mm, 28mm figures, but I'm kind of reluctant to continue on with that. I'm not very keen on the figures nowadays. I'd never get rid of them, but don't really want to sort of supplement them with the more modern figures and more better painted figures. They just won't sit right. So maybe I'll start Napoleonics afresh in 15mm, because this range of buildings from Nazhevitz Modelbau, they're just absolutely fantastic. And for the first time in my life, I've actually participated in a Kickstarter project, because they're just about to bring out a second set of files, so I've subscribed to those on Kickstarter. And when you do that, you also get access to a lot of their other old Kickstarter projects for free, and that's really good value, because each one is about €65, and I think I've subscribed for the €200, and for that you get 4 of their old projects, which is, it's a no-brainer. So it's a way of collecting some of their older files, which I intended to do anyway. So in a way, I'm sort of saving money on it in the long term. But anyway, enough of that. I'll show you another wagon. Okay, this is a similar wagon, only with the lid open. They don't actually have any horse models, so if you did want to portray them being drawn, then you'd have to access, you'd have to purchase some other horses. For a model I'm going to show you in a minute, it did come with some horses, but I tried printing them out and I wasn't terribly happy with them, so I'm not going to bother with those. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a really kind of satisfactory kind of print. it's got quite a nice lot of detail on it, rivets and planking and so on. Some of the wheels were a little bit untidy. You're meant to be able to print. Basically, they come as all the components come as a set, and you're supposed to be able to print them straight from the plate. But I find that leaves you with two problems. One is that the layers closest to the build plate are quite thick, and they don't match the rest of the print. And the other is that as you try and get them off the build plate, the smaller parts can break quite easily. So what I've found it's much easier to do is raise them off the plate and then give them supports. But then where the supports join things like the wheels, it's often quite difficult to sort of tidy them off. You know, it's like taking them off the sprue if it was a plastic kind of set. But it, you know, I'm quite happy with it. So let's show you another one. I know this is a slightly unusual one. It's Field Forge. There are two parts of it that I broke in the printing process, and I didn't want to kind of print the whole thing up again just to get those two parts. But there should be a sort of lever going over the top of that horizontal bar that then pumps the actual bellows. But I thought it was quite an unusual item. If he wants again, I'm going to give this to a friend of mine. So if he wants, you know, to just represent those sort of straight arms that I broke, then it shouldn't be too difficult for him to do something with a bit of plastic rod or something like that. So you know, I didn't bother to print the other bit. But never come across a model of one of these before, so thought it was quite interesting. And this is the last one I'm going to give to my friend. It's Napoleonic era field wagon. I've left the upper part loose, so that's why it looks a little bit odd. Just so that he can get into the interior to paint that if he wants to. But you know, once you got the file, you could print off dozens of these and represent a park or something like that, or an entire convoy if you got the horses. 15mm scale, as I say. So few untidy bits where things sort of fractured as I tried to drill out the wheels and so on, but overall not a bad model. This is a 28mm scale model that I printed for myself. I thought it would come in useful for 18th century period in general. It's a Berlin carriage, and they were in existence from the beginning of the 18th century. It was Frederick William of Prussia who actually introduced them to Europe, hence the name Berlin carriage. And again, I've left the roof off, so it might appear a little bit out of place, but I've left that off so I can paint the interior. And again, a few untidy bits where things sort of fractured as I tried to drill holes and so on so they could fit into the plugs, and didn't assemble it particularly well, so it's all a little bit askew and everything. But first attempt, and you know, if I'm unhappy with it, I can always go back and print another. And again, it didn't come with horses, but there is a tow bar that you could print out as well and attach it to some horses or you could just have it parked in a street or something like that, or a sort of coach park, untethered and so on. So again, another quite a nice model. And finally, there's this Western Stagecoach, which is 15mm. So I haven't printed this up for my Dead Man's Hand project. I do actually have a model Stagecoach that I haven't assembled yet, that I got from Dixon's, which I'm perfectly happy with. But I thought I would print up a few things in 15mm for my other Wild West project, which is the Western game, Peter Pig, which I haven't mentioned in a while. And you do need various bits of scatter terrain to represent sparse terrain and so on in the game. So I thought I'd print this up, and I'm really pleased with this. Again, the roof is not glued down yet, so it might look a little bit out of place again. But again, it's not a bad little model, and once it's painted up, I'm sure it's going to look really nice. Anyway, that's everything I wanted to show you for this one. As I say, it's just a quick little interim video, and the next one I do on the subject of 3D printing will be more kind of technical. I will show you some models that I've been printing just to show you examples of failures and successes and so on. But this is just very interlude kind of video, just to show you these wagons, or show them all before I get rid of a couple of them. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.